This is ATN Global News. First, the headlines. RIRS boss pledges to block revenue leakages. INEC releases 2027 general elections timetable. FG withdraws police from VIP duties after Kwara attack. Nigeria secures permanent seat on African Central Bank. U.S. immigration funding standoff threatens partial government shutdown. UEFA to review VAR reuse at the end of the season. Peter Delche's family petitions DSS over death rumor. Independent National Electoral Commission, Rivers State, has announced that by-elections will be conducted in Holder East and Kana State constituencies on Saturday, February 21, 2026. In a public notice issued by the head of Voter Education and Publicity, Geraldine Ekelemu, for the Resident Electoral Commissioner, the Commission stated that accreditation and voting will begin at 8:30 a.m. in all designated polling units within the affected constituencies. INEC emphasized that only registered voters in possession of valid permanent voter cards will be eligible to vote. The Commission also noted that accreditation will be carried out using the bimodal voter accreditation system. The Commission urged all eligible voters in Ahoda East and Kana to come out peacefully and participate in the electoral process, reminding residents that no PVC, no voting. Executive Chairman of the Rivers State Internal Revenue Service, Sir Israel Onwanaku Egbonefu, says the agency is intensifying efforts to reform the state's revenue system and eliminate leakages to improve internally generated revenue. Egbonefu made the statement while receiving an award from the Coalition of Supporters of Democracy and Good Governance. He noted that the agency's focus is on strengthening transparency, improving compliance, and enforcing tax laws within legal provisions to enhance revenue performance. The RIRS boss also cautioned residents and business operators against engaging in illegal tax practices, stressing that the service remains committed to accountability and due process. The Revenue Service says it will continue to implement reforms aimed at strengthening tax administration and supporting the state's development goals. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has elevated 14 high chiefs and baals in the Oyo town to the status of crown-wearing Obas. The staffs of office and instruments of office were presented on his behalf by the Deputy Governor Bayo Lawal during the coronation ceremony held in Oyo West Local Government area. Governor Makinde said the elevation underscores his administration's commitment to strengthening traditional institutions and promoting peace and grassroots development. He urged the newly crowned monarchs to uphold integrity, fairness, and support government programs in their domains. The Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters, Ademola Ojo, described the event as historic, noting that the beaded crown symbolizes authority, service, and responsibility. However, the development comes amid a pending case before the Supreme Court, where the Alafin of Oyo is seeking to restrain the state government from creating or elevating the Bale Agor Oja chieftaincies too. The appeal and motion are yet to be fixed for hearing. Kogi State Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Mohammed Sani Gambo, has declared support for Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan following her call for funding to revive the Ajao Kuta Steel Company. Akpoti-Uduaghan reportedly made the plea during a budget defense session where a heated exchange occurred with a Senate committee chairman. In a statement issued in Lokoja, Gambo described the senator as the pride of Kogi State and urged her to remain focused despite what he termed attempts to undermine her efforts. He said her push for the revitalization of Ajao Kuta Steel Company aligns with promises made during her campaign and reflects the aspirations of the people. Meanwhile, the federal government has proposed 6.69 billion for Ajao Kuta and the 2026 budget, with 6.04 billion naira allocated to personnel cost, despite the plant not producing steel for decades. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Kano Strategic Command has intercepted 64 bags of cannabis sativa concealed inside a cement-laden trailer along the Kano-Zaria road. In a statement issued by the command spokesperson Sadiq Maigatari, the consignment was seized on February 2, 2026, following intelligence-led surveillance by officers of the Kiru Area Command. The trailer, loaded with Dangote cement, reportedly departed Obajana in Kogi State and was heading to Mubi in Adamawa State when it was stopped. The driver has been arrested and is currently in custody pending further investigation. The state commander, D.Y. Lawal, said the drugs were hidden within legitimate cargo and were believed to be intended for distribution in Kano ahead of the Ramadan period. The agency said investigations are ongoing to uncover the network behind the shipment, adding that those found culpable will be prosecuted. The NDLEA also urged members of the public to remain vigilant and report suspicious activities to support ongoing anti-drug operations. Following prolonged delays and contractors' failure to meet agreed performance standards for the Doguwa 5-kilometer road project, the Kano State government has revoked the contract. An inspection tour by engineers from the Kano State Ministry for Public Procurement, Project Monitoring and Evaluation, led by the Commissioner Nora Mat Aji Sumaila, revealed dissatisfaction with the pace, quality and overall standard of work at the site, prompting the decision to terminate the contract. The commissioner, who spoke during the inspection, explained that the ministry had previously issued multiple warnings to the contractor, directing the firm to accelerate work and comply with the project's timeline and specifications. Sumaila further stated that the revocation was necessary to protect the public interest and ensure accountability, transparency and value for money in the execution of infrastructure projects. He assured that the administration remained committed to enforcing contractual standards and safeguarding public funds. Sajeru Aldo Abubakar, information officer with the ministry, confirmed the developments in a statement signed and made available to the press in Kano, adding that the government remains determined to ensure the eventual completion of the road project to improve connectivity and benefit residents of Doguwa and surrounding communities. Troops of the Joint Task Force Northeast under Operation Heading Kai have failed an attempted ambush by suspected Boko Haram/ISWAP terrorists along the Bola Yobe Darel Jamel axis in Borno State. A counter-insurgency expert in the Lake Chad region, Zagazola Mokama, disclosed this in a statement posted on X, stating that the incident occurred at about 5:35 a.m. on February 13. According to the report, troops in conjunction with civilian Joint Task Force volunteers were on night ambush duty at Papa 4, about 4.1 kilometers from the forward operating base, when they sighted insurgents attempting to cross the main supply routes from the Cameroon axis into Nigeria. The troops reportedly engaged in the terrorists with heavy gunfire, forcing them to flee. During exploitation of the area, soldiers recovered 2 sacks bearing inscriptions with phone numbers and names of alleged senders and receivers, with one traced to Kanu and another to Maiduguri. Items recovered include 28 scarves, 10 Kampala materials, 3 praying mats, 3 copies of the Quran and other religious books, 4 Kashmir materials, 40 bicycle parts, 1 sewing machine, machine oil, a measuring tape, screwdriver, eye drops and packs of medication. Military sources say troops have sustained aggressive patrols and heightened surveillance to deny terrorists freedom of movement within the area. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, has expressed satisfaction with the progress of ongoing judicial infrastructure projects across the capital, confirming that contractors expect to deliver the new facilities by the end of June 2026. Speaking during an inspection tour of various court sites on Thursday, the minister emphasized that these projects are critical presidential interventions aimed at ensuring the judiciary does not lack the necessary space to dispense justice effectively. The minister's tour covered several high-priority sites, starting in Asokoro, where he noted the technical difficulties posed by the terrain.
I see that for the past few days, we have been inspected road projects. And today we are taking time to inspect our intervention in the judicial sector as relates to providing more courthouses for the FCT, High Court and Magistrate Courts. We've been to Asokoro. I've seen the level of work, even though the topography is very bad. It's a problem, but we'll overcome it. And then we went to Jabi. Jabi was the last one, which we did foundation December last year. Now we're in Garki. You can see how far this has gone. Very impressed with the quality of job. The contractors have said before the end of June, they will have handed over this project. I think with this, as the directive Mr. President gave, that the FCT court will have more court houses now, so that they will not be lacking courtrooms to dispense justice as required. So I'm very happy for the intervention Mr. President has directed we must give, which is what we're doing.
The minister dismissed criticisms that such infrastructure projects could compromise judicial independence, arguing that the executive has a responsibility to support all sectors of government. Wike furthermore highlighted that the judicial interventions are part of a broader push for development in the FCT, which includes unexpected road projects, school renovations, and health sector improvements.
That does not you can say so much attention. You are talking about justice. You are talking about justice dispensation. We are also doing road works, we are doing counts of schools, we are also facing the health sector. So the judicial arm of government is also very critical in making sure that people get the dividends of democracy. So there's nothing much other than provision of more courtrooms and the fitting accommodation. So that's something that everybody will say. Even the executive is also getting something. So there's no particular reason why we must pay attention to one sector and leave the other sector alone.
Bauchi State Police Command has arrested 2 suspects in connection with alleged human trafficking and related offenses in the state. In a statement issued on Friday, the State Police Public Relations Officer, Nafiu Abubakar, said the E-Divisional Police Headquarters was investigating a case involving criminal conspiracy, human trafficking, assault, extortion, and defamation. Habib said investigations revealed that Joseph allegedly conspired with Light Mandis to lure Wilson and her friend Mercy to Ghana for prostitution. The command spokesman added that the case had been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department for further investigation. He also noted that the Commissioner of Police, Sani Omolori Aliyu, had directed that the suspects be charged to court upon completion of the investigation. Newsman reports that human trafficking remains a significant concern in Bauchi State, with the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons reporting continued cases involving both internal trafficking and trafficking across borders. The agency has highlighted that traffickers often exploit poverty and false promises of employment to lure victims, particularly women and young people. In the past year, NAPTIP recorded at least 37 human trafficking cases in Bauchi State, indicating the scale of the challenge at the local level. The agency has secured convictions against traffickers and carry out awareness campaigns to educate communities on the dangers of trafficking. The Nigerian Army has pledged to intensify operations against criminals and bandits in Plateau State as the famine season approaches. The General Officer commanding 3rd Division and Commander of Operation Enduring Peace, Major General Folunsho Oyinlola, made the declaration during a strategic meeting with leaders from Bakin Ladi local government area. He assured that troops under Operation Enduring Peace are combat-ready and will strike criminal hideouts while maintaining heightened patrols in identified flashpoints across the state. Oyinlola said the military would combine kinetic operations with community-focused initiatives to safeguard lives, property, and livelihoods during the critical farming period. He warned of emerging threats, including attacks on miners and the influx of cattle into farming communities, describing them as early warning signs that require urgent collective action. The GOC urged residents to provide timely intelligence, stressing that security is a shared responsibility and that troops are deployed to protect all law-abiding citizens, irrespective of ethnicity or religion. He also disclosed that the Chief of Defense Staff, Olufemi Oluyede, has directed the distribution of fertilizers to farmers and herders as part of non-kinetic measures aimed at reducing tensions and promoting peaceful coexistence. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to represent President Bola Tinubu at the 39th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union. Shettima landed at Bole International Airport ahead of the summit scheduled for February 14 and 15, 2026. He was received by Ethiopian and Nigerian officials, including the Ethiopian Minister of Innovation and Technology and senior foreign affairs representatives. This year's summit is themed Assuring Sustainable Water Availability and Safe Sanitation Systems to Achieve the Goals of Agenda 2063. The Vice President is also expected to participate in high-level bilateral meetings focused on strengthening Nigeria's diplomatic and economic partnerships as well as regional peace and security. Nigeria was also granted a permanent seat on the board of the African Central Bank during the preparatory meetings. Members of the Joint Conference Committee of the National Assembly are expected to meet on Monday to reconcile differences in the Electoral Amendment Bill passed separately by the Senate and the House of Representatives. The harmonization exercise is aimed at producing a unified version of the bill for transmission to President Tinubu for assent. The key point of contention is the provision on electronic transmission of election results. While the House approved real-time transmission to INEC's result viewing portal, the Senate backed electronic transmission but retained manual collation as a fallback where technology fails. The amendment process follows controversies from the 2023 general election, particularly over the failure to upload presidential results in real time. Senator Seriake Dixon has urged the committee to adopt the House version in full, warning that weakening the electronic transmission clause could undermine public confidence ahead of the 2027 elections. Meanwhile, Senator Adeniyi Adebomire clarified that real-time transmission does not amount to electronic voting, noting that INEC currently conducts manual voting and uses IREV only to publicize results ahead already declared at polling units. Also weighing in, former NBA President Olisa Abakoba called for mandatory real-time electronic transmission to strengthen transparency and reduce post-election disputes. The outcome of Monday's meeting is expected to determine the final shape of the amended Electoral Act ahead of preparations for the 2027 general election. House of Representatives has given agencies, stakeholders and concessionaries a 7-day ultimatum to submit documents relating to the investigation of concession agreements at Nigeria's air and sea ports from 2006 to 2025. Chairman of the Ad Hoc Committee, Honorable Kolawole Akinlayo, issued the directive during a public hearing in Abuja, attended by key agencies including the Nigeria Customs Service, Nigeria Ports Authority, ICRC, NIMASA, and others. The committee had initially set a 72-hour deadline but extended it to next Friday following appeals. Akinlayo warned that failure to comply would attract sanctions, including possible referrals to investigative bodies. He also directed that chief executives of the affected organizations must appear before the panel to address discrepancies. Deputy Chairman Honorable Harrison Anozie said the probe would be fact-based and guided by the concession agreements, adding that hearings would commence after all submissions are reviewed. The committee said the investigation is aimed at ensuring that concession arrangements over the past 19 years have delivered value to the federal government and improved ports and airport operations.
We have all your data from 2006, 2025. We have it. We have it both in soft copy and hard copy. But we can't shake your head and absence. So we need you to also prove that, okay, these are the documents you have. If document is not tally, if they are infraction, that's why we call you and say, see what we have, see what you are bringing to us. Come and explain yourself. But if the document is okay with what we have already, we ask you to go. This is not a vision committee. We are not here to vision to anybody. We are here to work for the benefit of Nigerians. And we are very serious about it. So asking for submission is helping you out of this quagmire, because if it happens, it's found on your head. So it's none of my business. But you must give us the document that is requested of you. and we attach a data to that document. Yeah, there's a template.
We'll look into them where you have done well in accordance with the agreement and your agreement is still valid. We'll give you thumbs up. That's the essence of the hearing. And where you have not done well, you see it for yourself that you have not done well. Because the terms are there. And that's why we are saying the CEOs should be here. Because most of you that are here saying don't have not listened to that agreement. Most of you that are here are not signatories to the agreement. You have not even seen it. And you are here just talking and talking and talking.
Major operators present at the hearing included Dangote Group, Julius Berger, West Africa Container Terminal, APM Terminals, and others. Federal government has ordered the immediate withdrawal and redeployment of Nigeria police officers previously assigned to VIP escort duties. The announcement was made by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who said the move is aimed at strengthening community policing and frontline security. The decision follows a deadly attack in the Kwara State, where at least 75 villagers were killed. According to the minister, officers withdrawn from VIP protection have been redeployed to key states including Kwara, Plateau, Benue, Kogi, Nasarawa, Niger, and the Federal Capital Territory. Security has also been reinforced around places of worship with increased police visibility during services. The government said the counter-terrorism strategy remains Nigerian-led but open to strategic operation with international partners. President Bola Tinubu has also ordered the deployment of an army battalion to Kwara State to reinforce security operations. Independent National Electoral Commission has released the official timetable for Nigeria's 2027 general elections. According to the schedule, presidential and National Assembly elections will hold on Saturday, February 20th, 2027, while governorship and state elections are slated for March 6, 2027. Campaigns for presidential and National Assembly candidates will run from November 18, 2026 to February 19, 2027. Governorship and State Assembly campaigns will begin December 15, 2026 and end in March 5, 2027. Continuous voter registration is set to commence in April 2026 and end in January 2027. Political parties are expected to conduct primaries between July 1 and September 30th, 2026, and submit candidate list between October 1 and October 31, 2026. The final list of candidates will be published on November 15, 2026. Nigerian Education Loan Fund has dismissed media reports alleging diversion of student loan funds at the University of Abuja, stating that there is no verified evidence to support the claims. In a statement signed by its Director of Strategic Communications, Oseyemi Oluwatui, the fund said no proof has been established to show that the university diverted, misappropriated, or unlawfully withheld its disbursements. Fund explained that it operates a structured disbursement and reconciliation framework with compliance and audit mechanisms to ensure transparency and accountability. The agency added that where concerns arise regarding delays in crediting student accounts or reconciliation processes, it engages directly with the institution involved to resolve issues in line with the due process. The response follows a report alleging that over 256 million naira disbursed for 2,245 students was diverted. However, the University of Abuja denied the allegations, describing them as false and misleading. The university confirmed receipt of the funds but stated that disbursement is strictly application-based, noting that some students had already paid their fees before the funds were released. Fund reaffirmed its commitment to protecting eligible students and ensuring that all disbursements comply with legal and institutional guidelines. National Business and Technical Examinations Board and the National Examination Council have inaugurated a joint technical committee to harmonize and strengthen collaboration within Nigeria's public examination system. This was disclosed in a statement issued by NAPTEP's Assistant Director of Media and Protocol, Uchechukwu Olisa, following a meeting between NAPTEP Registrar Dr. Aminu Mohammed and NECO Registrar Professor Dantani Bushishi at NECO headquarters in Mina. Both chief executives led their management teams in discussions focused on improving examination, administration, and advancing shared institutional objectives. Dr. Mohammed emphasized the importance of synergy among examination bodies, noting that sustained collaboration is vital to national development. He also called for broader coordination involving the West African Examinations Council and the National Board for Arabic and Islamic Studies, while acknowledging their distinct mandates on his part. Professor Wushishi described the engagement as a significant step towards reinforcing institutional cooperation, commending NAPTEP for demonstrating goodwill. The newly inaugurated 10-member committee, made up of 5 representatives from each organization, is tasked with developing operational frameworks, harmonizing strategies, and recommending implementation modalities to their respective chief executives. African Democratic Congress has condemned the attempted arrest of former Kaduna State Governor Nasser El-Rufai at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, describing it as a threat to democratic norms. In a statement issued by its National Publicity Secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, the party warned that such actions could heighten political tensions and erode public confidence in the rule of law. Tension reportedly arose on Thursday when security operatives allegedly attempted to detain El-Rufai shortly after his arrival at the Abuja airport. The ADC criticized what it termed selective enforcement in the anti-corruption campaign, claiming that opposition figures face intensified scrutiny, while politically exposed persons aligned with the ruling party are treated differently. The party called on security agencies to uphold due process and constitutional responsibilities, urging the administration of President Bola Tinubu to ensure that law enforcement actions are not perceived as politically motivated. The ADC said it would continue to monitor the situation and defend democratic principles. National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Ajibola Basiru, has called on the executive arm of government to champion constitutional obedience in Nigeria. Basiru also urged the legislature to strengthen its oversight functions and the judiciary to safeguard its independence, while encouraging citizens to demand transparency and accountability. He made the remarks while presenting a paper at the 4th Distinguished Personality Lecture of the College of Law at Osun State University. Speaking on the theme, Democratic Governance, National Security and the Rule of Law, Basiru said democracy, security, and the rule of law are interwoven and mutually reinforcing. According to him, democratic governance provides legitimate authority, the rule of law ensures accountability, and national security creates the conditions for stability. He added that civil society organizations, the media, and citizens must play active roles in promoting security accountability, stressing the importance of independent journalism, community vigilance, and responsible information sharing. And now to our business news. Nigeria has secured a permanent seat on the board of the African Central Bank. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Toga, disclosed this in a statement following the 39th session of the Executive Council of the African Union. According to him, the decision underscores Nigeria's strategic role in shaping Africa's financial architecture and advancing monetary integration on the continent. The development also extends Nigeria's representation to the board of the Technical Convergence Committee of the African Monetary Institute, a precursor to the establishment of the African Central Bank. Togo added that during the session, candidates jointly endorsed by Economic Community of West African States were elected to the Peace and Security Council, reflecting regional unity and cooperation. He noted that Nigeria also organized a ministerial high-level panel discussion aimed at strengthening democratic governance and regional partnerships across Africa. You're still watching the News Atlantic Television Network, and up next is International Tidbits. Bangladesh Nationalist Party has claimed a sweeping victory in Bangladesh's first general election since the 2024 uprising that removed former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina from office. Party leader Tariq Rahman is now poised to become Prime Minister, following projections that show the BNP winning 212 seats, enough for a two-thirds majority in parliament. However, the Jamaat-e-Islami, which secured 76 seats according to the projections, has questioned the integrity of the results process, alleging irregularities in unofficial announcements. The Election Commission says voter turnout stood at 59% and described polling day as largely peaceful, despite earlier campaign clashes that left 5 people dead and hundreds injured. Interim leader Mohammed Yunus, who took charge after last year's unrest, urged calm and national unity as the country prepares for a transition of power. International reactions have started pouring in, with the United States, India, China and Pakistan congratulating the BNP on its projected win. Meanwhile, a referendum held alongside the election shows early indications of strong public backing for proposed democratic reforms, including term limits for the Prime Minister and stronger judicial independence. Final official results are expected later today. Funding standoff between Republicans and Democrats over immigration enforcement is threatening to push the U.S. Department of Homeland Security into a partial government shutdown beginning Saturday. Democrats are refusing to approve new funding for DHS unless changes are made to how Immigration and Customs Enforcement conducts its operations. They are demanding limits on roaming patrols, a ban on agents wearing face masks during operations, and the requirement of judicial warrants before entering private property. The dispute intensified following the fatal shootings of 2 U.S. citizens in Minneapolis during protests against anti-immigration operations, sparking calls for stricter oversight and accountability for ICE agents. While Republicans say they are open to negotiations, Democrats have rejected what they describe as half measures. Under Senate rules, at least 60 votes are required to advance the funding bill. If no agreement is reached, thousands of federal workers could be furloughed or forced to work without pay. Although ICE operations would continue using previously approved funds, other agencies such as FEMA and Airport Security Services could face disruptions, including longer wait times and flight delays. And to our sports news. LeBron James made NBA history on Thursday, becoming the oldest player ever to record a triple-double at age 41, as the Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Dallas Mavericks 124-104. James delivered 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 12 assists, securing his final rebound with just over 2 minutes remaining. The performance broke the previous record held by Karl Malone, who was 40 when he achieved the feat in 2003. Now in his 23rd NBA season, the four-time champion continues to extend his legacy as the league's all-time leading scorer. The milestone comes just days before his 22nd All-Star Game appearance. Lakers coach J.J. Redick praised James' professionalism and commitment, describing his consistency and dedication as remarkable after more than 2 decades in the league. The Lakers, playing without injured star Luka Doncic, bounced back from 2 straight losses with the emphatic victory. Coventry City head coach Frank Lampard says Frank Onyeka is ready to make his debut for the club. The Nigeria international joined the Sky Bet Championship club on loan on the final day of the winter transfer window. Onyeka was exempted from Coventry City's home draw with Oxford United last weekend after he was granted compassionate leave to be with his wife. The defensive midfielder is now back in the frame after returning to training this week. Lampard confirmed Onyeka will feature in next week Monday's home fixture against Middlesbrough. Coventry City occupy second spot on the Sky Bet Championship, standing behind Middlesbrough. UEFA's head of refereeing, Roberto Rossetti, has cautioned that the use of VAR risks becoming overly forensic, calling for greater consistency and fewer microscopic interventions in European football. Speaking at the UEFA Congress, Congress, Rossetti acknowledged that VAR works effectively for factual decisions such as offsides, but warned that subjective calls, particularly handball decisions, are leading to excessive reviews, according to newsmen. The Premier League currently records the lowest VAR intervention rate among Europe's top leagues at 0.27 per game. The Bundesliga and La Liga, average 0.38, Serie A 0.44, League 10.47, while the UEFA Champions League stands at 0.45 per match. Rossetti stressed the need for uniform interpretation of handball laws across leagues, noting that differing standards create confusion, especially in continental competitions. He also signaled resistance to expanding VAR's remit, as the International Football Association board is expected to consider extending reviews to include corners and second yellow cards later this month. UEFA is expected to review VAR usage at the end of the season, and as the debate continues over balancing accuracy with preserving the flow and intensity of the game. Family of veteran Nollywood actor Peter Dochi has contacted the Department of State Services over a viral rumor announcing his death. The false report circulated on social media, prompting the actor's family and management to dismiss it as untrue. Peter Dochi's first son, Leo Edochie, described the claim as false in a video shared on Instagram. In a subsequent Facebook post, Leo disclosed that the DSS had been contacted to track and arrest the TikToker who allegedly posted the death rumor. He also announced a cash reward for anyone who provides useful information leading to the individual's arrest. The family maintains that the actor is alive and well, urging the public to disregard the viral misinformation. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. RIRS boss pledges to block revenue leakages. INEC releases 2027 general elections timetable. FG withdraws police from VIP duties after Kwara attack. Nigeria secures permanent seat on African Central Bank. US immigration funding standoff threatens partial government shutdown. UEFA to review VAR use at the end of season. Peter Dochi's family petitions DSS over death rumor. I am Francis Necker. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, now X at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching.